So hang tight. Let's just take a deep breath in. Inhale, reach the arms up high. And we're going to give a side stretch. You can be sitting or standing. This is the beautiful thing. You're working at your computer all day, and we get to stretch up. We're going to inhale, reach arms up. Exhale, we're just going to twist. Reach the back hand around, and you're going to come into your lower back, or you can even grab onto your chair. And we're just going to have a nice wring out of the spine. I've got one hand on my front knee to help leverage the spine around. Take a deep breath in here, nice and tall, stretch the spine tall. And we're going to exhale back to center. Inhale, reach the hands up, and exhale, twist to the other side. We're going to make sure that chin is tucked back so the spine is standing tall. One big inhale here, and exhale, return to center, shake it out. And we are going to get ready for our next speaker. Sandy, are you here?
I'm here.
Awesome. Thank you, Sandy. So I want to introduce our next speaker, Sandy White. And Sandy's mission is to encourage individuals to live a simply-fit life through health and nutrition. By providing simple tips and strategies, she encourages people to live a balanced quality life so they're able to overcome things like suicide and depression and really live into the best versions of themselves. She's an MBA. She has an MBA in sports management. She's a certified theology. She's certified in theology as well as a certified holistic health and nutrition coach. She has a goal to save 1 million lives through exercise and nutritional education. It's fun and informative. And I love that goal. Welcome, Sandy White. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Emily. This is so awesome. And I love what Adam was saying. So you guys are rocking and rolling. I was able to get the last little bit of it. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm curious, this is a mighty and wonderful goal you have to really bring people from that depression state, from suicidal tendencies, 1 million of them. What drove you to this passion to help people?
Well, it's a combination of things. And I want to say it really started when I was about 9. My dad ended up with diabetes, but he didn't take it very well. And, as a young child, you see your parents going through different aspects of their lives and you try to cope as best as possible. He's since passed on and I'm much older, and from that experience and moving along and going through the different aspects of my life, I pretty much started to see a pattern in individuals. And when you can see those different patterns, it's a lot easier for you to assess the situation better. Because like with my dad, I took it negatively and I'm thinking, you're just being lazy. You're not even fighting for your life. And I wasn't even thinking, but then moving forward, I really started seeing, and my goal is I really typically work with females. Now, I didn't go through depression, but I went through very similar situations. And as I mentioned before, moving from my dad to present day and seeing a lot of females having similar situations, I realized that it was the symptoms that were causing the depression, but them not recognizing it and not being able to just sit down, take a deep breath, and acknowledge their feelings and moving from that point. And so when you have that opportunity to say, okay, what's all of the things that are going on in my life, it's really not what we see on the surface. It's what's going on beneath the surface. And so having children, as I mentioned, from moving from my dad to present day, having children late in my adult life versus earlier, I had a lot of challenges, not knowing that there are a lot of females that are over 40 that have similar challenges, but they don't assess the situation. They they let things pile up, pile up, pile up, and it gets to the point where they end up basically erupting like a volcano. So going through that process myself, it just made me think, okay, I'm not the only one going through this. If I can do some steps that'll help folks move along a lot better, I think we can stop a lot of folks from having unnecessary challenges. My husband and I currently have 2 children, but I went through 7 procedures, meaning surgeries, to actually get pregnant. And that's a lot. That takes a toll on your body. And it makes, I'm getting teary right now just thinking about it. Let me get myself together. But it can really make you feel less than. And if you don't address those feelings, what happens is they run rampant and you actually start believing everything that's popping in your head. And so I'm like, I can actually do something here. So I actually started asking God the right questions, not why is this happening to me, but how can I come out on the other side of this better? How can I help someone else that's dealing with what I'm dealing with come out on the other side better? Because I've had friends that did not come out on the other side of this and actually committed suicide. There are people that want children so bad. There are people that have well, my dad had diabetes and I ended up with gestational diabetes. And folks just don't take it well when they have health challenges. They totally give up and it's just like, I'm done. And so that is the major driving force for me working so hard to just get folks to know it seems like it's hard, but it really isn't. It's really simple tips and strategies that'll get you over to your next healthy, successful path where you can live the life that God so desperately wants you to live. I know that was long and drawn out, but really that's how it started, honestly.
Thank you for that. And I want to pull out something you said there, which I thought was very brilliant. You know, it's asking the right question, right? So do you have something more on that that you would like to elaborate? Because this is a great tip. And that's what we want, the tips and strategies. How do we ask
Yes.
the right questions?
So the right questions, instead of why is this happening? Okay, I have diabetes, or in my case, it was gestational diabetes. Okay, what can I do, God, to mitigate this situation? So one of the tips would be, even though you're pregnant, move around. Even though you have diabetes, move around. Even though you may have an amputee, and my dad ended up being an amputee, there are so many different exercises that you can do. My husband is military, so I am not the nicest person when I am working with y'all. It's more like a boot camp situation, but I'm very caring on it. And what I also notice is that people don't want to know how much you know. They want to know how much you care. And that's what I bring to it. I don't want you coming to me with all of your excuses. I want you coming thinking, how can I overcome this? You're not and that's what Satan does. He makes people think they're the only ones going through this. And when I remind folks, you're not the only one going through this, let's work with you. Let's you be in competition with yourself, not with Johnny, not with Susie, just with yourself. So this is where you are today. But now let's take a deep breath and let's visualize where you want to be. And so once I start getting people to talk, they start telling me what they're interested in, how they visualize their life. And a lot of times no one has ever asked them, are you happy? How do you see your life? What results are you interested in having out of your life? And that sounds so simple, but for a lot of people, because folks are running around, here and there and really being busy, just being busy. I don't like being busy just to be busy. I want results. I want, when you come into my presence, you have been filled with joy, love, enlightenment, and suggestions on how you can get your goal accomplished. And so when I sit down with folks, I always ask them on a scale from 1 to 10, because I don't want your time wasted and I don't want mine wasted. When you tell me something on a scale from 1 to 10, how hard are you working at it? Okay, then that lets me because that way you're not forcing someone to do something that they're not interested in doing, because people will do stuff if you force them, but then how long are they going to be consistent, and then they're back at square one. I want you dependent on you, not dependent on me, because as a coach, it's my job, no different than a child. When that child is in your care, you're supposed to train them up so when they leave your house, they're confident, they're fulfilled, and doing whatever it is that they need to do to get those goals met, and not feeling that, oh my God, did I make the right decision? Let me call mom. It's okay to come back and get some guidance, but you should be confident enough to know you are making the right decisions, you're moving towards your goal. And so when we do these goal settings, I like to remind people, don't do like 9,000 different goals. Let's do a little bit at a time. And then you may have a major goal, but now let's break this up and go start at the end. What's the ultimate goal that when you reach everything, what is it that you want to see in your life? Now let's work backwards. And a lot of people don't do that. They work from where they are. Okay, I'm at step 1. No, let's go all the way to step 100. This is where you need to start visualizing, because when you leave my presence, what's going inside your mind? What are you visualizing on? Because the Bible tells us to meditate day and night. So I want you to tell me your end result. We're going to get all of these pieces in, but I want to know your end result. So your end result is what you're going to focus on day in and day out. And then from there, that's when, because when, and I tell people, and I work backwards, as I tell you, when you go to sleep, your subconscious mind still works. So if we go with your end result, what that is, when you go to sleep, I show people how to have a really good nighttime routine. So by the time you go to sleep, that, as I mentioned, your subconscious mind is still going to be working. When you go to sleep, that end result is on your mind, and your subconscious mind is like, how do I get Susie this? How do I get Susie this? And then those steps start coming out. And I tell people, keep a journal by your bed. Keep a journal by your bed. When you get up, just start writing. Don't try to, oh my God, don't be nice and pretty. Just write, just write, just write, just write. And then we can come back and piece those together. That's step number 2.
Okay, Sandy, hold on, because let's review real quick. What's step number 1?
So step number 1 is your end result. What is it that you want out of that end result? Now,
we set a goal, and then we're committing to that goal, that end result. We're going to break it down into baby steps. And I'm really curious what your nighttime ritual is. You can just give us an ABC of your nighttime ritual.
So a nighttime routine is going to be, you sit and you have affirmations. You have to have good conversations with yourself. You can't beat yourself up. And when I say affirmations, I don't mean just, let's write a whole bunch of stuff on paper. No, get an affirmation, put it in a nice, pretty frame, someplace that you're going to look at it 24 hours a day. They need to be in your bathroom. So we're talking about nighttime routine. So this one is going to be in your bathroom, on your nightstand. Make sure that you have a diffuser and the essential oils that'll help calm you and relax you. Then you could take a nice hot shower, or you can take a nice bath, something that's going to calm you and relax you. And being on the iPhones and the television 24 hours a day does not help you to sleep well. You got all kind of stuff going in and out of your. No, you need to have a shut off time, television, radio, whatever it is that you have a consistency on. That stuff needs to be off by 7 or 8. You need to have a good 7 to 8 hours of good quality sleep. And then I tell folks, make sure you change your sheets at least twice, every other day if you can. If you don't want to wash them much, but you need to have good, clean, nice sheets. If you have allergies, that's when the diffuser, your humidifier, and then possibly if you can wear the mask. Some people don't like the pressure on there. If you don't like the pressure so that it's like blacked out and you can really sleep well, then get the blackout curtains. And then there's a calming app, which kind of just really puts you in the mood after you have taken your shower or your bath, whichever one works for you. You could be sipping on nice tea while that calming app is going. And you can be listening to the ocean flowing. I mean, just nice, soothing sounds that's going to relax you, that's going to help you decompress. You don't want to go to bed all ramped up and antsy, and you're never going to get good sleep doing that. That is a good nighttime routine. And I like to wear socks because I want to be nice and cozy and comfortable. And I really just want to like really just get in all of that sleep before the alarm goes off and kids start, mommy, mommy.
So indeed. Thank you, Maria. We got it in the chat, the nighttime rituals and practices, which I love because this goes into really a true amount of self-care for coming in and just really setting ourselves up for success, which is also what Adam, the prior speaker, was talking about with like how important recovery is. Yeah. So, and I heard you mention, so we have our goals and then we have our affirmations set up so we can see them, that then as we're sleeping and we're going to sleep, our brain is working on the creation of those things. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Fantastic. I'm curious, how do you have another step for us, or can I move on to the next question?
No, you can move on because
Okay.
I like to talk, and I know you have other guests that come on.
Cool. So in this, combating our thoughts, really, because whether you are depressed, quote unquote depressed, or I look at like just living a norm that is not great, right? If your norm is not, I feel fantastic, I'm joyful, I'm happy, I love my life, it's like we have room to grow and to move into that and to expand. So I'm curious, in your Sandra, in your experience, how does exercise and fitness play into that mental state?
Well, the way it plays in is you really have to see yourself being successful. You really have to believe that you can accomplish more. And a lot of times, folks, what they do is they meditate on the experiences. And so you got to stop and say, what are my belief systems that I have currently going on that's bringing me the results right now? Because you hear people say, why does this keep happening to me? Okay, well, if you keep asking questions like that, you're going to get, you're lazy, you're not focused, you may be hanging around the wrong friends. Oh, you're eating a bag of sugar 24 hours a day. Rather than, okay, as I mentioned earlier, take an assessment of your feelings. Okay, when I'm hanging around this particular group of individuals, what's the takeaway from it? So I like to remind people your exercise and your mental clarity, they really do go hand in hand. If you're sitting on your bums 24 hours a day, there's no way you're going to get those good endorphins, going and just making you feel all nice and bubbly. And I'm not saying you're going to be walking around like you're on 9 cups of coffee. Actually, that is my actual personality. This is me 24 hours a day, but I like to exercise. I like to stretch, and I'm a people person, and I like to make sure that people are happy in their self. And in order for you to be the best person that you can be, we need to see what works for you. And I always don't do what I do. Let's find out what works best for you and then be consistent in it. And then for some folks, that may mean doing a combination of things multiple times throughout the week versus the same consistent thing. Because if you're a type of person that's going to get bored quickly, then let's find things that you can do. And basically what my job is with the simple tips and strategies. A lot of the stuff people have heard before, but they've forgotten them because they're not doing them, because they're jumping from this to that, and they're just not making sure that when they set that original goal, am I getting close to that goal or am I getting further away? So I always tell people to respect yourself. When you tell yourself something, not only do you set, I set my time on my phone so it goes off. You're supposed to exercise. You're supposed to do this, because if you have a lot on your plate, it's okay to set yourself reminders. And then for mental clarity, it's okay to let somebody know that you're not okay. This is where people fall into the trap. And this is where people, unfortunately, lose that battle, because they feel that it's shameful. It's not shameful. We don't all wake up feeling 100, 100, 24 hours a day. And you have to have somewhat, excuse me, we have to have someone in our corner that we trust, that we respect with our innermost feelings, that will tell you what needs to be done or walk you through what needs to be done. And I don't like to just tell people what to do. I like to walk them through, because I want to make sure that you're actually going to do it. You're actually going to get that result, if that's what you want. That's why I'm always on that scale of 1 to 10, because if you force someone to do it, they're not going to be consistent in it. Did that help, or do you need me to?
Yeah, this is great. I just want to kind of recap, because we're getting a lot of information, so we're gonna put it into a recap. So I love this thing about the 1 to 10, because if we're talking about creating new habits, you got to figure out how much you want that, right? Because a lot of people say they want to work out more, but then it's actually, if you look at the priorities of life, it's a 5, right? And or maybe maybe you think you want it to be a 10, but you're acting like it's a 5. So finding scaling, and correct me if I'm wrong in the interpretation of this, but really looking at what number do I want to prioritize this in, and then what number am I actually doing, and then rearranging life, setting timers, and to help us create that new habit. Because motivation will only get us so far, right? We got to create willpower. It's only going to last so long. We need to begin to create new habits that become part of our natural routine. Is that making some sense for you?
Yeah. But I like people to put things where literally it seems like it's tricking your brain, but you have to do that. That's why I like to do the timers, or, you have to be safe when, with the parking lot stuff, but don't park so close to the door, or, do walk around the house and, maybe take 1 or 2 things. Like if you're washing clothes, don't take all the clothes upstairs at one time. That's the way you're tricking yourself, and you're actually doing your exercises. If you take a little bit, like my washers on the 2nd floor. So some people may have to go all the way to the 3rd floor, but take a little bit at a time. You're actually tricking your brain to say, oh, she just made me work out. I mean, literally little things like that, because you're not looking at it as working out. Some people actually hate it, but they know they need to do it. So I'm like, well, let's trick you. And then when you do that, you're literally scratching the record of, now when you think about, exercise, you're not thinking, oh my God, it's going to be 30 minutes. You're thinking, I can do 5 minutes, because you just tricked yourself. Nice. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I heard an amazing study that was done, I don't know, some time ago. And it was a study done on hotel maids. And, the maids are in there vacuuming, changing sheets, lifting mattresses, scrubbing, et cetera, et cetera. And they did a study with them, and they were not getting exercise like at the gym. So what they did was they set it up, and they had their control group, and they just went about their business and cleaned the rooms, etc. And then with this other group, they started saying, hey, do you realize, like, when you're vacuuming, when you're changing the sheets, when you're lifting mattresses, when you're hauling this, and etc., that you're actually getting a lot of exercise. And the group that was in their mind now thinks, I'm exercising, lost, I don't remember the statistics, but lost a substantial amount of weight in comparison to the control group that just thought they were doing their job. So even as I actually love it when I do chores. Like the other day I spilled something, and I'm like, oh, I gotta spill something. But instead I squatted down the floor, and I'm mopping at the floor, and I'm like, I'm doing my squats. That's what I thought in my head, right? Instead of complaining in my mind that I had to clean up my mess that I made, the spill, I'm thinking, this is good for me. I'm squatting, I'm opening my hips, right? And so how we think about carrying the laundry, doing the chores, walking in and out of the store, etc., actually physiologically creates a different response in our bodies.
Yes, and one more I want to add into when you were saying when you did the spill on the floor and you did your squat. Here's another trick. Instead of saying, like you said, well, that you need to speak positive to yourself, but someone else that doesn't, I know that instead of saying, oh my God, I spilled something, I have to get this up. Not only do you say I'm doing my squats, but you change the wording. Oh, I get to clean up. And in the process of cleaning up, I get to get some squats done. I get to have a better looking, firmer hiney. You have to change the way you say stuff to yourself in order to really, I mean, literally you're tricking your brain, and your brain is plasticity. So it is willing to change if you're willing to change it. A lot of folks think they're stuck in their ways. You're not stuck. Let's just figure out what works best for you so you could get your results, because we're all different individuals and we receive differently.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So I'm curious, what you grew up in a very athletic family, and you went into to get your MBA for managing athletics. So what does fit mean to you?
So fit at the beginning meant looking good because I didn't have to try hard. And then after babies, boy, that was a rude awakening. I was like, okay, so now I really have to put into action everything that I had so I don't come off looking like a fraud. And then I'm like, that's a lot of work. And that's where the concept came into me that being fit is more than just exercise. It is not just about going to the gym, running until you're like dripping, sweaty, wet off, because you've been on a treadmill or doing 5,000 reps, using your dumbbells. It is about getting the quality of sleep. It's about being happy. It's about taking care of your mental and your mental clarity. It's about making sure you're spending time with God. It's about, just taking time and being grateful for the environment that you're in, for being able to, some people still have to work a 9 to 5, being grateful that you actually can go to work. Because right now we're in a pandemic. Some folks don't have that opportunity. So being fit, it encompasses everything. It encompasses the fact that I get to go and be a superhero for someone else that may not be able to do something. It encompasses being mommy to my children so that they know when they leave out, how are you supposed to treat your wife? How are you supposed to treat your daughter? I mean, it's just being a model in the moment. That's what being more fit is, being more than exercise. You're being a model in the moment. And what does that model mean? It's going to mean different things to each individual. But at that time, what can you do to show somebody else, hey, if you model after me, because you may be the only person that they can see. And this is, before I finish that statement, I like to remind people, you never know who is watching you. So you need to be present and on your game 24 hours a day, not in a fake manner, but 24 hours a day, because you don't know where someone is mentally. And I tell you, I love doing that. Even like when I wear my shirts and stuff, Simply-FITT, because people come up and they're like, because it's vague. And they're like, well, what the heck is Simply-FITT? And I get to tell you, based off of where you are. And I usually start off with something so simple as, are you happy? And most people are like, what the heck does that have to do with Simply-FITT? It has a lot to do with it, because now I know what angle to approach you at versus coming at you with, all right, let's go walk, let's go jog, let's go swim. That may not be what you need right now. So being fit is more than just exercise. It's helping someone get fit in an area that they have a deficit in. That's what that means. I talk a lot.
I love this. I love this. It's a wholehearted, whole being fitness, right? Not just that we look good in our skinny jeans or what have you. And also, I really love that it kind of, life is a cycle, right? And if we are happier and more fitter here and here, it's like then potentially, naturally, it feels better to exercise and take care of the physical body, right? And when we exercise and take care of the physical body, it's easier to get our head and our hearts more in alignment. And in my experience, and I used to, pre-COVID, and maybe after COVID, I'll go back to it, but for many years, I taught street fighting and self-defense. I taught many women's seminars. It was one of my favorite things I do. And I would watch women come in, and people in my normal classes, you know, feeling shut down, feeling small, feeling that weight of whatever is happened in their life to bring them into my workshop. And I find you can change your mental state, you can change emotional, you can change physical, you can change spiritual. And all of these things are in this circle, and they all help us to become this whole fitness. However, in my experience, the easiest thing to do is to change the physical state. And when we begin to come in and move the body and to stand or sit in a more empowered way, everything else kind of begins to shift around that. And so in my experience, if I'm feeling nervous, take a deep breath, I shift in the body. And that's a simple one we all do. But if I'm feeling maybe less than energetic, like I don't want to work out, sometimes I just go and lay on my yoga mat, and then the workout comes. Just put on the tennis shoes and then the workout comes. But other times I'm like, I change my physical state. I'm like, okay, we got it. Let's go. I know this is good for me. I know I can do this. And even if it's just a walk around the block, changing that physical state starts to unwind everything else. So that's my experience. That is the easiest thing, if you're having negative mental thoughts, the easiest thing to do is to go for a walk, go for your workout, move the body, change the physical state of your body, and it will change, start to begin to unwind everything else. Does that resonate with you, Sandy?
Yeah, change your environment. And one of the things you mentioned, you know, about exercising, a nice little trick, because I don't like excuses. So you pack a bag, you have one in more like in your closet with clean clothes, one in your office, and one in your vehicle. So that way you can't say, I don't have clean clothes. Yes, you do. Go get one that you've already packed, and then throw those clothes that need to be washed over for the weekend. Because I relate, how many times are you going to work out? That's, you know, how many times are you willing to work out? Then if it's 2 times, then you need to have 4 bags packed. So you're not lying to yourself, and you're not using, I don't have clothes as an excuse. So that's a trick right there. Be prepared, even though you're not noticing you're being prepared, but it stops those excuses. So changing your environment, and I like that one too, because I've done that one too. Just laying down on the yoga mat, and you're like, because it really feels good, and you start feeling tranquil, and you're like, ooh, okay, how can we keep that going?
Yeah, exactly. Fantastic. And I will say, as a lifetime mover, when I fall off the wagon, it's hard to get back on the wagon. And I also know that the more we move, the more we feel good, right? And it's just like meditation or anything else, it compounds over time. And we create a new habit, a new way of being, because now I don't associate exercise with torture. I associate exercise with feeling good. And when I sit too long at my computer, I'm like, dang, I got to get some movement in, because I know that that's going to make me feel better. So I would encourage people. I know we have some people are already like big into their fitness routine. Some people are trying to develop a fitness routine. If you are developing, just make it fun, right? And know that it builds over time. And when your body starts to feel better, you will start to crave that movement because it feels good. And so if you're exercising and it's punishment, like you're like whipping yourself, to get on that bike and do that, then that's not building a habit that's going to stick. That's willpower, and that's just not going to last. So I encourage y'all to find something that brings you joy, so that when you're doing your movement, you're building also the recovery and the resilience in your heart and your mind. So it becomes this whole body Simply-FITT that Sandra is talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. And then just remember, I always tell people, what did you like to do when you were younger before you got here? It could be something so simple as hula hooping, jumping rope, as you already mentioned, walking, playing with your kids, giggling on the floor, laughing is the best medicine. I mean, it's not a whole hard exercise, but if you laugh hard enough, boy, those abdominal muscles, you're gonna feel them. You need to just have fun. That's what I just tell people. Have fun. As you were saying, if you don't already have a regiment, but you're just trying to get into it, okay, what did I like to do before I became stagnant? And go for it. Because right now, like you had mentioned, pre-COVID, you were able to go to the gym or wherever. Now everything just about is online. So there is no excuse. I mean, if you want a belly dance or whatever, they got it online. Go do it.
They do. It's true. It is online. Fantastic. I'm curious to hear more about your free gift that you have for us. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, and she's gonna put that in the
Yeah.
chat, the link in there. But the free
There we
gift
go.
is the 21-day walk challenge, and I have done this with my clients before. Literally did it with them, show them me walking and things like that. It's snowing out here. I'm in the state of Maryland, but guess what? Dress warm and put on a hat. Don't use an excuse. And then what I did, because I have boys and they like always want to be on the video games and all that stuff, I also went and got a treadmill that's conducive for children. It only goes up to 3.7 miles. Again, you have to not give yourself excuses. I like going out because being in a house all day long, sitting in that hot air, man, that'll make you sleepy. So I'm like, nope, I'll go outside and let that cold air smack me in the face. And my children are like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm waking up because we can't have this. And I will go for a nice walk. And the other reason I chose the 21-day walk challenge is because it's taking you out of your environment, not necessarily your comfort zone, but your environment, possibly your comfort zone if you haven't been doing anything. But I like to do that because now you're incorporating exercise and nature. You're breathing, your brain is working. I want to remind y'all, your brain goes more than just 10%. You can't use more than just 10% of those cells. So get outside and walk and then see different things. And when we did the challenge, I told people not just try to get your little 10,000 steps. Yeah. We want that. But now you're making it a job when you're doing that. No, go outside and tell me something that you saw that you didn't see yesterday. And then tell me, did you meet one of your neighbors? I tell you, so many people don't even know their neighbors. And I live on the cul-de-sac. And some people don't even know the people that live next door to them. I'm like, oh, you should be ashamed of yourself. Go outside and meet people and then tell them what you're doing and then get online and then invite them. So I like that walk challenge because I'm telling you, it's so much that you're going to get from something so simple. Again, I like doing stuff, the simple tips and strategies that you're not even going to think about and you're not going to be stressed out. Plus, it's so smooth on the joints. It doesn't impact. Now you can go with some terrain that's, hilly and things like that to start working your quads. It's not necessary. You just need to get out and get moving. And then, yes, we're in COVID, but you don't have to do this alone. You can invite people to do it. Like when we did it, we all had our phones up and we were on our Zoom and everybody could see each other. And then on some of the ones, I just posted them myself and let folks know that we were doing it. So you could see, hey, I'm up, I'm going. So as the coach, you don't have to go at the same time, but pick a time, as I told y'all early, and schedule it on your phone. So when it pops up, walk challenge, oh, let me get out and go walk. I mean, I just think it's so nice. And then again, I stopped on that idea. It's COVID, but you can still invite people to go. You're 6 feet apart. So you're not out. I mean, you're going to look like, kindergarten's all in a line or whatever, but you're going to have fun. You can turn around. You can walk backwards. You could, hey, Susie. And, if you got everybody going, then you won't look crazy. But but it's just to have fun and get you going.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. So you can get your free 21-day walk challenge, the free guide. And we're going to put the practice to the test. Like and I encourage everybody, go download the gift And then you're gonna look, is this what are my priorities, right? And if you commit to it, let's commit to all 21 days to help reprogram your body and get the body moving, get that fresh air into your system, and have fun with it, right? Bring your friends.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much, Sandy White. It's been such a pleasure having you here. And I also called you Sandra in the middle of the interview. I want to say it's also Sandra White, or Sandy White when you're reading up on her. Thank you. Do you have any last thoughts for us before we let it go?
So my last thoughts would be just to love yourself. If you miss a day, it's okay. It literally is. Just take a deep breath and start all over. Reset, rewind, and get back on your grind.
Nice. That's perfect. Thank you so much, Sandy White. It's been a pleasure having you here.